Okay. Welcome everyone to our first episode of Unraveling the Page, where we dive deep into the world of literature and explore the factors influencing reading habits. I'm your host, M.Rifki Aditya, and today we are talking about a crucial issue, the low reading interest in Indonesia. Joining us are five incredible individuals, and one of them have dedicated their life to understanding and promoting literacy. Let's roll out the red carpet for our esteemed guests. Okay, we have here representative of activists. Good afternoon and welcome to show Miss Husnul. Good afternoon. It's an honor for me to join in this podcast. Okay, and we have here representative of teacher here. Good afternoon and welcome to show Miss Syaftiah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Adit, and thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
Okay. And we have parents representative. Good afternoon, welcome to show Miss Aprillia.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Adit. Thank you very much for inviting me, but I'm sorry I cannot attend to the studio. I'm sorry.
Yes, okay, Miss Aprillia. And we have a representative from Librarians here. Good afternoon and welcome to show Miss Cindy. Good afternoon and thank you for having me here. And before we dive into the intricate web of literacy issue in Indonesia, let's lay a solid foundations by clearing defining what means by literacy. The definition of literacy needs to be understood first to understand the various literacy issues in Indonesia. Now, Ms. Husnul, can you paint a picture of the literacy definition for us?
All right, thank you, Mr. Adit, for the opportunity for me to give the definitions for literacy itself. So maybe we always hear about the words of literacy in our daily life, right? But we don't know the exact definitions of the literacy itself. So literacy in its broadest sense goes beyond the ability to read and write, so it encompasses the capacity to comprehend, to interpret, and also to critically analyze the various forms of information, in whether it's in digital or written. And then therefore furthermore, in academic context, literacy is the key that unlocks the door to knowledge and meaningful discourses. I think that's all, Mr. Adit.
Okay, certainly, and thank you for the comprehensive overview. Now, as we zoom in on the current state of literacy in Indonesia, can you share with our listener and snapshot of the present conditions and what contributing factors do you believe lie at the heart of the literacy challenge in Indonesia?
All right, thank you. So, when we closely examining the current conditions, the overall reading interest in Indonesia, especially in specific among specific demographics, right? It remains a pressing concern. So, UNESCO's rankings place Indonesia second from bottom globally in literacy, indicating that low reading interest in Indonesia. And according to UNESCO, only 0.001% of Indonesians are avid readers. So it's equating only 1% out of 1,000 the people in Indonesia who love to read. And then a significant hurdle lies in the limited accessibility for a diverse range of books and literature, because of the we know, right, in Indonesia we have that kind of unique geographical conditions, so
Yes.
it's highly challenging for us to equally distributing the books to the rural areas, yes. And then it impacts that peoples in that areas that cannot obtain the books. And then it's like searching for a needle in a haystack where the communities is face the obstacles to obtain the books that reflect their interests and also their cultural backgrounds. And moreover, the absence of a proper reading space on pose another substantial obstacle. So, creating conducive environments for reading is not only having books, but it's about establishing habits that encourage the individuals to dive headfirst into the world of words. And furthermore, I think this is not less important. So the lack of awareness and also advocacy for the importance of literacy itself cast a long shadow over these challenges. And there is a pressing need for a collective effort to shine a spotlight and on the transformative power of literacy, treating it is not just a skill, but it's a gateway to personal and societal development. I think that's all, Mr. Adit.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Husnul, for this eye-opening perspective on the challenge we face. It's evidence that building a robust reading culture in Indonesia require multi-faceted solutions. Now, as we shift our focus to school and classrooms perspective, let's invite Ms. Syaftiah as a representative teacher here. All right, Ms. Syaftiah, after hearing our explanations from Ms. Husnul here about factors of literacy in Indonesia, can you tell us what are the main factors causing low interest in reading among students as identified by educators?
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. Adit. The limited interest in reading among the students has serious implication for the learning process. As an educator, I am aware to several factors that can contribute to factors that reading interest in Indonesia. Firstly, there are challenges in compiling and adapting reading materials aligned with the students in student needs and interests. And second is resources limitation and the restricted access to compiling books also contribute to the to the decline in reading interest. And moreover, as we know, in this modern era, we have distraction from social media, and it can pose formidable competition in capturing students' attention. This can be access to various application and can be uh, make smartphones a powerful attraction to their students. Students may find immediate satisfaction and enjoyment through the games or the activities on their phones, but also it is then comparing to dedicating in reading activities. So it is crucial for educators and parents to find seek creative strategies to bring joy of reading, and also it's ensuring that literacy can it remains a vital part of the development amidst influence of their reading uh, interest. So, based on the result of the research that argue that the students should strive to uh, always to foster their reading interest and reading habit both in academic and non-academic, such as books, journal, magazine, newspaper, and etc. And this reading activity should be done in anywhere and every time. For instance, at home, at school, on the campus, on the library, or even public places. And students who are fluent in reading do not only obtain the information and knowledge, but also can improve their critically thinking of so it can be facilitate the process of analyzing discourses. I hope it can answer your questions, Radit.
Okay, Syaftiah, you have already explained the factors as an educator. I want to ask you something again. How do you see the impact of low reading interest in the classrooms? Is there any point of view you get?
Okay, lowering interest can translate to limited diverse ideas and knowledge, affecting their achievement on study. Students may struggle in uh, analyzing or complex texts and comprehending the information. They should be require strong literacy skills, and this impact to their ability to think critically, draw connection between the concepts, and also apply in their knowledge. And furthermore, there are 2 points that low impact reading interest of students. The first one is reduce engagement and participation in the classroom. So the students may less participate in classroom activities such as ask question, discussion, or also related to the reading materials. And the second point is um, decreased enthusiasm for learning. Lack of interest in reading can lead the decreased enthusiasm for learning overall. Students may perceive education as less enjoyable and may miss out the intrinsic of the pleasure that reading can bring them the learning experience.
Okay, thank you for the answer. But I want to ask something more, Miss Syaftiah. In your point of view as a teacher, how is the role of schools recognized as a key to responding to overcoming the challenge of low interest in readings? And what concrete steps can school take for this matter?
Okay, thank you for the question. As teacher itself, we can integrate the technology for the learning process. For example, we can integrate technology such as ebooks, audiobooks, or platform that provide learning access to the students' experience. The second is identifying individual students' interest in reading and providing recommendation books to them to provide to their interests. And the government also has an application that called Husnul that can be accessible for everyone. We can access it too, and we can register by the application. After that, we can search what book that we want to read and download and access it in anywhere and every time. And also, this duration of we can borrow the book is 5 days, so we can enjoying to read. And also, I recognize the crucial part of the school can take action is such as school literacy program. From here, students can expect to bring that books to the school and reading for 10 until 15 minutes together. It can be classroom or in the school field, and this is can be also teach students can be tell to each other they what have they read from the books. It can also improve their ability. And also, I believe that effort from the government and teachers and everyone that in this field can by turning over a new leaf and creating innovative literacy programs and leveraging technology in education, and also collaborating with local libraries and community school can foster an environment that can stimulate student interest. So I believe that collective efforts that we can take this can bring reading between the line and deliberate them to make a read to the reading activities. And also, I think it's the answer for me.
Okay. Thank you for Ms. Aprillia for insightful explanations. Before we turn our attention to Miss Aprilia as a representative parents here, uh, Ms. Husnul, could you provide insight into the current states of children literacy in Indonesia? What challenge are young learners facing in terms of literacy?
All right, absolutely, Mr. Adit. So it's our concern today that we can easily find literacy issues among young learners. So Indonesian children who like to read are minorities. So it's very sad, right? And then one of the reasons that Indonesian children's interest in reading is low because the increase of technology. So we live in technology in era where technology were massively spread, right? So the childrens are more interested into watching videos, playing video games, and they very rare or they seldom touch the books or they do not want to read the books. And also another reasons that the children's lack of interest in reading is because the support from the parents and also the communities to for the access or to exposure to the book itself. I think that's all for me, Mr. Adit.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Nur, for your insight. You touch the crucial role for parental support. Now, transitioning to Miss Aprilia, let's dive deeper into the significance of parental contributions in nurturing a passion for reading. Now, Miss Aprilia, what do you think about parents' contributions to fostering a love for reading?
All right. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. All
You're
right.
leading. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adit. So it is true that family has a huge contribution for to igniting reading interest for our children, because that we know childrens nowadays only read the book once in a blue moon, or very rare they open the book and also read it, right? And maybe we can also think that the left-wing populism put the blame on the right-wing populism, that because they consider what is it like considered failed to raise the awareness of the children to reading a book, right? And actually this is not totally right, because actually this is also the role of the parent itself to igniting the children's reading interest at home. But unfortunately, there are a lot of families out there ignoring this one fact. I believe that there are a lot of parents out there who still put the blame for their children when their children's to focus on playing video games, playing cell phones, etc. But actually, we need to understand that when we often blame them to what is it like because of their lack focus on the reading itself or the other literacy, over the time they will start to rebel to us and also deliberately keep us angry until we accept their mischief. Of course, this is not good to our children, right? So the contribution of the family is a very important things to ignite our children's enthusiasm for reading from an early age. So I think that's all the perspective from the parents representative, Mr. Adit. Thank you very much.
Okay, wow. So this is a very crucial other than the school, right? Okay, I want to ask something for you to educate the new parents out there. How do you think families can contribute to fostering a love for reading?
All right. Actually, as a child, I am also a children from my
Yes.
parents, right? So I felt that I had a very good parenting style from my parents, where from when I was an early age or little, they implemented a love for reading for me, such as reading a fairy tale before bed, or also they in fact that they took a time in a day to read the book, and then I saw it, and then finally I motivated to do it too. This is a good example for me. When I was invited to the bookstore, I was very happy because I thought that I would like to get a new book, and also I thought that I would like to get a new knowledge. This is very, very rare. We can find that every children nowadays think about that, right? So because of my parents' parenting style itself, I also apply it to my children. However, we can also highlight that the differences between we as the child before and also our children nowadays, that they are very close to the things named technology, right? So when they play on their cell phones the most, I don't scold them. We have to highlight this. I don't scold them because as Mrs. Syaftiah mentioned before, there are things that called ebook or electronic book. So because they are focused on their all days, I don't scold them, but every day I will deliberately make them read in their cell phones. What is it like? Whether this is the news, whether this is what is it like, the novel, etc. But I will deliberately make them read on their cell phones. For example, like I would like to give them a question with a curious narratives, etc. So they can give me the answer through their cell phones from the news or the reading things on their cell phones. For example, like I would like to ask them about, oh, my son, what is happened to the new accidents nowadays? What is happened to the newest news in Palestine or Gaza, etc. So I would encourage them to give me the answer from their cell phones. So this is also the steps for me to encourage them to read a lot in their cell phones, etc. Don't scold them because they are focused on their cell phone itself. Yeah. Actually, I have a lot of steps to the new parents or the parents out there. Can I perhaps get the more time to give the tips and trick for the parents out there, Mr. Adit?
Yeah, sure. You can go ahead, Mr. Apriliani.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Adit. So here are my perspective for the parents out there to help parents on igniting the children's reading interests out there. So actually, I have a lot of stuff, but I would like to give a few of them. So the first one is actually learning by the example. As I mentioned before, my parents give me the example when they reading a book for every day, and then I saw it, I'm motivated through it. So this is the first step that we have to apply to our children. We have to be the role model for them. If you want your children to read, you have to love to read also. You have to give the example for the children themselves. This is the first, and also this is the first example. This is the first step that we have to do at home. Because if we encourage them to read, but we don't read, how can learn? How can learn to read, to love to read, etc. So this is the very crucial thing. And also the second steps that we have to start. We have to start the the activity from an early age of our children. For example, like we we give them the input that we encourage them to read a lot from their early age, because if we late to do this, then this is a very hard step to encourage them to read. For example, like we can encourage them to read by before they're going to bed. We can read a fairy tale for them, and then don't until the finish story. So we can encourage them to get the the ending by themselves by reading the book itself, etc., etc. This is actually the important steps also. As they grow, involve them in choosing books and gradually transition to read to them reading on their own. So this is a very important thing. And also the third one that we have to know, we have to understand that children have the diverse reading materials. Actually, there are a lot of parents out there scold their children by reading comics, reading novel, etc. But for me, this is okay for the children if they like to reading comics or novel. Don't scold them, because when they read the novel and comic itself, this is also the process of the literacy awareness, to raise our literacy awareness, right? So don't scold them just because they don't scold them just because they love to reading comic, etc. We have to know, we have to understand that they have the differences reading material by themselves. And also the next step, this is also related to the previous steps, that we have to make the reading activity routine in our home, at uh, at, at home, etc. So establish a regular reading time as part of our daily routine is a very crucial thing. Why? If we only encourage them to read just once or twice, etc., this is very hard for them to igniting their reading interest at home. And also this is also give them a hard step to do to what is it like this is also give them the a hard step to go to the next steps, etc. So make it routine if you want your children loves to read, etc. And also the next step is a very crucial thing. If your children what is it like finally finish your the books they read in a week or in 2 weeks, etc., celebrate their achievements. Celebrate their achievements. How? We can give them appreciation. For example, like, oh, my son, I'm so proud of you that you can read the book in just a week, in just 2 weeks, etc. We can give them the words of appreciation, or even give them a gift. Give them a gift as the appreciation of their achievement itself. So this is also related to their motivation. If we keep appreciate them for their achievement in reading, then their motivation will be raised, and then their love for reading will be raised also. This is very crucial things, ladies and gentlemen. And also the last steps that I would like to share for you, support individuals' interest is a very crucial things. This is also related to the diversity reading materials itself, that we have to respect. We have to respect our children's diverse reading materials or preferences itself, because whether they love comics, they love novels, they love fantasy, fiction, etc., this is also embracing their preferences, encourage a sense of autonomy and enjoyment in reading, etc. If your children, you encourage your children to read, but they don't enjoy it at all, this is also the hard step to go to the next steps. So we can start from the early age, and also start from the simple steps to giving the love or fostering the love of reading for our children at home. So this is the tricks. These are the trick and tips from me, Mr. Adit. I hope that every parents out there can fostering this way to foster the love, a love for reading for their children out there. So thank you very much.
Wow. Oh, that's thank you for the explanation. That's such a complete and detailed explanation with the tips and tricks. Thank you very much, Miss Aprilia.
Yeah, thank you very much. It is an honor for me to sharing such a crucial things for Indonesian nowadays. Thank you very much.
Okay, so for the next guest, we are going to look forward to point of view, a person who always near a book every day as librarians. Miss Cindy, let's start by looking at statistical data regarding low reading interest in Indonesia. In your perspective, what data stands out the most in this regard?
Yeah, as someone that always read library and always available in library, I definitely agree with Mrs. Husnul that say only one person out of 1,000 people in Indonesia that likes reading. And I also we can also look build upon data from the Central Statistics Agency in Indonesia, or known as BPS, only a drop in the bucket of Indonesian population that regularly reads books. Moreover, UNESCO research says only about 25% of the population that actively reading books in Indonesia. And I think one of the factor that it happens that low interest in readings is also because the per capita expenditure on books in Indonesia is also it's very low, indicating challenges in accessing books for many. I think that's all.
Okay. Miss Cindy, can I know what the recent conditions of library visitors? Are there any interesting trends you could share for us?
Yes.
Uh,
I always analyzing the visitors every day, and based on that, overall, we've seen an uptick in the number of library visitors recently. That's meaning it's good. However, it's still way low compared to the other countries, definitely. As librarian, we still encourage more people to come to library and reading books. Besides that, I found there's an interesting trend to note: a shift interest from physical readings to digital content and digital books. I mean, nevertheless, the interest in the library as a place for learning and interactions remains high.
okay, so you said that although that people shifting to digital contents, the interest in the library as a place for learning and social interactions remains high. Okay, let me ask something. In this context, what's the role of digital books? Do you think digital books could replace physical books in the library?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I think technology, we cannot see the development of technology as a bad things. I see it as this is the replacement from the old style to the new style. Although digital books offer a dime of dozen of quicker and more convenient access for some readers, physical books retain an irrepressible uniqueness there. Like the tactile experience, smell, and physical art of reading a book can be a dime a dozen by digital versions. Therefore, both formats should complement other in the library, as each holds its own values and advantage. So I think if there are digital books, that means that will be will be more accessible books to read, and that means it's good, and we don't have to worry about that, but we have to exciting about that, and that's
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And how about the states of libraries and the book availability in Indonesia? Because we know that the digital books happens. Okay.
yes. We know that, as I mentioned before, libraries, the books that's available in library is very low, especially in rural areas. You'll face challenges regarding books availability and adequate facilities. Additionally, there's a shortage of quality books on relevant topics, especially for the younger generation. This is also influenced by relatively high prices of books. And in addition, digital books, in my opinion, can be the solution for the high price of books because it's way cheaper to provide the digital books, and it can be a solution for the rural area. Even though not everyone has a smartphone, but I think there is no such a problem to provide some pieces in the library.
Okay, thank you, Miss Cindy, for this valuable insight. Before we concludes, are there any solutions that you believe could be implemented to increase reading interest in Indonesia?
I believe that initiatives such as literary involving schools, families, and communities, the way Mrs. Anggi does to their children is also the good steps to raise the interest in reading. And in addition, utilizing technology and providing engaging and relevant reading content will help in shifting the trend of low interest reading in Indonesia. Uh, and I think, and beside that, we also don't forget to add more books in the library, and more facilitate everything that can encourage community to come to the library. And beside that, I believe also culture and social factors can play a significant role in breeding interest.
So you say that cultural and social factors apply significant role in reading interest. How do you view this?
Yes, literacy culture within families and communities in the name of the game and greatly impacts an individual's interest in reading. Technology also plays a role where the use of gadgets and social media has changed how people obtain information to spend their leisure time, impacting their reading interests. And besides that, I believe that this is also our concern because we don't have a culture to read. Unlike the other countries like Japan, that there are exactly read when it's leisure time. They have that culture, and we don't. Yeah, and that's my view.
Okay, that's excellent view. Thank you, Miss Cindy, for these inspiring discussions. Hopefully, with the steps you mentioned, we can turn the page and collectively build a stronger culture of literacy in Indonesia. Now that we understand the challenge, how can we bridge the gaps? So, Miss Husnul, are you fine? Are you fine? Okay, Miss Husnul. Okay, could you illuminate us on any strategies or initiatives that you believe could serve as effective connectors?
Right. Sorry. So actually, for from the various statement before from the other speaker, sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. You have time.
So from the several other speaker, they also explain about the strategy to bridge the gaps.
Yes.
And to crafting a transformative path requires a comprehensive strategy. So a synergy of efforts from various quarters. So, for example, firstly, securing robust government backing is imperative. So this involves not only allocating resources, but also
It's okay.
but
It's okay.
also sorry, but also implementing policies that prioritize um, what is it, literacy in across schools and communities. And secondly, active community engagement is key. We need to create a groundswell of support for literacy involving parents, local leaders, and also the community organizations. And building reading friendly environment can significantly increase the person's reading interest. So as Mrs. Anggraini explained before about the steps that she do for her children. So I interested in the first step. So it's about the uh, doing the examples to give the examples for the children, right? So I very agree. I strongly agree with these steps because children see and children do. So they what they see that what they do. So the parents plays a crucial role to give a good role model for their children. And also, additionally, educational overhauls are essential. Integrating innovative and engaging reading programs into the curriculum and along with the professional development of teachers can reshape the learning landscape. So it's not merely teaching the children to read, but it's about instilling a genuine love to read for the children, and in essence, making reading an inseparable part for every person's life demands a collaborative and concerted efforts. So it's a journey that involves policymakers, educators, communities, librarians, and etc. So they working hand in hand to overcome this kind of challenges, and also ensuring that the transformative power of literacy eliminates the path to a brighter future for Indonesia. I think that's all from me, Mr. Adit.
Okay, what are great strategies you have there, Ms. Husnul. I agree with the collaborative points you mentioned there. How about Ms. Syaftiah? Can you give us your point of view?
After hearing Mrs. Null explanation, I strongly agree with her, and also to prioritize and enhance literacy programs across schools and communities, and the other uh, the other part of them, we can creating engaging reading spaces, promoting inclusive literacy program, and collaborating with the local community. And schools should effectively contribute to creative learning an environment that motivates the supports the literacy development. Moreover, collective efforts by teachers and school are the key to addressing the decline in reading interest and enhancing literacy among students. I think it's my point of view.
Okay, I agree with Ms. Aptia. Collective efforts by teachers and schools are a key for this matter. How about Ms. Cindy? Can you give us your point of view?
Yes, I also agree with Mrs. Husnul. Very good point. I think from Mrs. Husnul to approach cover vital aspects to improve literacy in Indonesia. She emphasized government community involvement and educational changes as key steps. And I agree with that. Our governments all needs to renew the system because I see as librarian in the library there are many books that vary out of date, like it's 2023 and there are books from 2025 20,000 and 5, and it's very out of date. Government needs to renew the books and renew the information. And I also really agree that reading habits can start from the home, and library can just facilitate when children and people in the outside of the house. And I think that will boosting reading rates in the country.
Okay, that's a good point of view. How about Miss Aprilia there? Can you give us your point of view, Miss Aprilia?
All right. Actually, what are the our expert today say is a very, very crucial thing, yet very true. Perhaps we can also highlight that fostering a love for reading to our children can start it at home too. Not only in school, society, but also at home. Because home is the first education for our children, right? So it is such as involve leading by example itself, as I mentioned before, starting from early age, exposing them to a diverse reading materials, establishing a reading routine or activity, celebrating their achievement, make them proud of their achievement, etc., and also supporting their individual support in reading itself. So this is the steps that we have to do at home, because if we want our children love reading, so we have to do these steps. Yeah, this is my tips and trick, etc. By incorporating these practical tips into parenting, you can ignite and sustain your children's interest in reading, laying the foundation for a lifelong love of literature itself. So this is a very crucial thing. I agree with all of our experts today. So thank you very much, Mr. Adit.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Aprilia, for your point of view. Okay, thank you for all guests for the great point of view in every view. So now we are moving to Q&A sections. For you listener who wants to give up questions, you can raise hand and turn on your mic, or you can write down on comment below. We are going to give 5 minutes for the questions. Thank you.
If there's any questions.
Uh, okay, if there's no questions, we are going to close these sections and we are going to move to our next sections. Okay, thank you all for joining us today on Unraveling the Page. Low reading interest in Indonesia is a complex issue, but with the collaborative efforts from activists, teachers, and parents there, and librarians, we can turn the page and create a new chapter for literacy in our country. Until next time, keep reading and spreading love for books. Okay. And we are going to mention idioms that we use for this podcast. So first is roll out the carpets, and means to welcome someone as a very important person or guest. And next is paint the picture. So the paint picture is to describe or show something in a particular way. And we have lie at the heart of describe something that is the central or most important elements of something else. And next is zooming on, is examine or look at something more closely. And we have searching for a needle in haystack, is something or someone that is difficult and nearly impossible to find. And in and we have a once in the blue moons is not very often or a very rare. And we have capture someone's attentions is to attract and hold someone interest or focus. And next is turning over a new leaf, making a fresh start or embracing a positive change. And we have reading between lines. So reading between the lines is understanding the hidden or implied meaning in the situations. And we have a drop in the buckets. So a drop in the buckets referring to a small or insignificant part of a much larger whole, used to emphasize how only a small fractions of the Indonesian populations regularly reads books. And a dime a dozens. So a dime a dozen referring to something common or easy to acquire. Used to highlight the easy access to campaigns of digital books. So and the next is turning a corner. Turning a corner to make progress or move forwards. Use regarding expansions and developments of the digital book collections. And the last is the name of the games. So the name of the games are referring to the most important aspect of the situations used to emphasize the significance of literacy, culture within the families and communities. I think that's all from us. Thank you very much for joining us today in the podcast. Thank you.